Hello students, welcome. Previously, lesson 13, form 1 topic 2, we were dealing with temporary and permanent changes. So today lesson 14, we want to proceed to constituents of matter, and we're saying matter has been classified as solid, liquid and gas. Remember, we have defined the term matter in form 1 chapter 1, and we said matter is anything that has mass and occupies spaces. Then we said we have three sets of matter, which was solid, liquid, and a gas. So next we are saying pure substance can be classified as elements or compounds. Remember, we said matter is found either as pure substances or mixtures, and we said a pure substance is the one that consists of only one type of matter. So we're saying pure substance can be classified as elements or compounds. So we start with the first one, element. What is an element? So an element is a pure substance which cannot split into simpler substance by a chemical means. So examples of an element include carbon, copper, hydrogen, sodium, iron, oxygen, and many others. So that means elements are very many, so we cannot write all of them. So you have to know some examples of elements. So we're saying elements are made up of atoms. So what is an atom? We are saying an atom is the smallest particle of an element which can take part in a chemical reaction. So we are saying next examples of an atom include carbon, copper, hydrogen, sodium, iron, oxygen. So that means I've only taken the examples that we have seen under the elements or examples of elements. Because remember we said elements are made up of atoms. So we are saying next again, atoms of the same elements are similar. The atoms of some elements cannot exist independently but join together to form a small groups of atoms called molecules. So what's a molecule? A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound which can exist separately on its own. Examples of a molecule include, so we can have elements that exist in molecule form. They include hydrogen, oxygen, and also chlorine. And we have many other examples like bromine, we can have iodine, fluorine even. So we go and see compounds that exist in molecule form or molecular form. They include water, sulfur peroxide, ammonia, hydrogen chloride gas. They are very many. So next we are going to go and see compounds, and we are saying a compound is a pure substance made of two or more elements that are chemically combined. So examples of compounds include sodium chloride, calcium carbonate, iron 2 sulfide, and there are many others. So we are saying next it is possible to tell which elements are present in a compound from its name. So we are saying part A, compounds ending with IDE means the compound is composed of only two elements. Example, we can have sodium chloride. From the look of the name, sodium chloride is ending with IDE. That means the element is composed of only two elements. So we are saying sodium chloride is made up of sodium and chlorine. So another example, we are having calcium nitride. So it's made up of calcium and nitrogen. We're having next sodium hydride. It's made up of sodium and hydrogen. We're having iron 2 sulfide. It's made up of iron and sulfur. So next we're having calcium carbide. It's made up of calcium and carbon. So we're told exceptions to this are hydroxides, which contains three elements. Examples, sodium hydroxide. So from a look of sodium hydroxide, it's ending with IDE. So we say the compounds that end with IDE, they are composed of two elements. But this is a hydroxide, it's sodium hydroxide. So that means it will be containing three elements. So which is made up of sodium, hydrogen, and oxygen. Next example, we're having zinc hydroxide. Zinc hydroxide is made up of zinc, hydrogen, and oxygen. So the next example, we're having lead 2 hydroxide. It's made up of lead, hydrogen, and oxygen. B, we can have names ending with ATE, and that means the compound is made up of three elements, which one is oxygen. So we go examples. Number one, we're having sodium sulfate. Check it's ending with ATE. That means it's made up of three elements, which one of them is oxygen. So sodium sulfate is made up of sodium, sulfur, and oxygen. Another example, aluminum nitrate, it's made up of aluminum, nitrogen, and oxygen. We can have again sodium phosphate, it's made up of sodium, phosphorus, and oxygen. We can have calcium carbonate, it's made up of calcium, carbon, and also oxygen. We can have potassium chlorate, it's made of potassium, chlorine, and oxygen. If you have seen that the compounds that end with ATE, they have oxygen as one of their elements. So they are having three elements, which one of them is oxygen. So exception to this are hydrogen carbonate and hydrogen sulfate, which contains four elements, which two of them are hydrogen and oxygen. Example, sodium hydrogen sulfate. So it's ending with ATE, but this is hydrogen sulfate. So it's made up of four elements. Two of them is known. So one of them is hydrogen and the other is oxygen. So we're having sodium hydrogen sulfate. The first element is sodium. That's what we have here. The second element is hydrogen. That's what we have here. So we have sulfate. It came from sulfur. And we also have oxygen there. Those are the four elements. Another example, we have magnesium hydrogen carbonate. It's made up of magnesium, which is the first element here. Then the other one is hydrogen. We can get carbon there, and we have also oxygen because carbonate came from carbon. So, but see, we're having names ending with ITE, means the compound is composed of three elements, of which one is oxygen. However, the amount of oxygen is less than in those compounds ending in ATE. So that means the ones that are having ATE are having more oxygen content compared to the one or the compounds that are ending with ITE. We go examples. We are going to have sodium sulfite, means the compound is made up of sodium, sulfur, and oxygen. Calcium nitrite is made up of calcium, nitrogen, and oxygen. Magnesium phosphate is made up of magnesium, phosphorus, and oxygen. An exception to this is the hydrogen sulfide, which contains four elements, which two of them are hydrogen and oxygen. Examples. So we can have sodium hydrogen sulfide. It's made up of sodium, hydrogen, sulfur, and oxygen. We can have potassium hydrogen sulfide. It's made of potassium, hydrogen, sulfur, and also oxygen. So learners, that's the end of our class today. Thank you for watching.